What's good, y'all? What's the numbers TV? It's your boy Poe Rowe. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already, and like a video if you appreciate the content that Poe Rowe and What's the Numbers I providing. Today we back with another profile piece. This one is on Danny Gonzalez. In this video we're going to talk about his early years coming up in California and how he basically grew up in the boxing gym. After that we'll focus on his amateur record and accomplishments he achieved in the ring during his years rising through the ranks. Then we will highlight the major announcement that was made on Instagram about Danny turning pro after signing with one of the biggest names in the sport. And lastly, we will dissect the situation that led Danny losing his life at such a young age. Danny Gonzalez was born in Seattle, Washington, but mainly grew up in California, where he stayed in the Moreno Valley. From an early age, Danny was in the gym, learning the sweet science of boxing, which combined with his natural talent, helped Danny become pretty good at the sport. He wanted to follow in the footsteps of some Mexican greats like Oscar De La Hoya and Canelo Alvarez, so he began fighting in different amateur tournaments to test his skills. What came next over the years was an amateur record of 96-13, where Danny ended up fighting his way to winning 2 silver gloves, 2 junior golden gloves, Olympic nationals, and also represented the U.S. in various competitions. Everything he accomplished in the amateurs was building him up to have a successful pro career, and in 2016, at the age of 18, Danny took the first step in that process when Hall of Fame boxer Floyd Money Mayweather came and signed Danny to his promotional company, Mayweather Promotions. Mayweather posted news of the signing on social media and stated that he had big plans for Danny and looked at him as a potential champion in the future if he put the work in. And that's exactly what Danny started doing as he trained for his professional debut, which took place in August of 2016, which he won by unanimous decision. After the fight, Floyd would give him a wad of $100 bills as a bonus for his performance. Danny's next fight was in October of 2016, followed by another in April of 2017. Danny won both fights by unanimous decision, but for some reason he started to drift away from the sport of boxing a bit after his third pro fight, and as time passed, he began to drift further and further away. Some say it was some personal things that caused the separation, others say it was the company Danny was keeping that caused it. But he began drinking more openly and freely, as you can see on his personal Instagram. He also wasn't training at all for months on end. His inactivity in the sport of boxing started in 2017, and 3 years later in 2020, Danny still hadn't made his return to the ring. Although there wasn't no major warning signs like an arrest or a DUI charge to know something wasn't right in Danny's life, those around him felt something was off and started to try and get Danny back in the gym. Certain boxing friends and some of his old trainers began reaching out to Danny in an effort to get him back in the gym, and according to some, Danny was accepting of their ideas and agreed to start training again. But before he could get back to work and get in the full swing of things to hopefully regain his form as a professional fighter, tragedy would strike during Labor Day weekend 2020 when Danny was killed in Moreno Valley while hanging out with family and friends at the pool in his apartment complex. The story that would come out was that 2 men drove up and after a brief conversation about gang affiliation drove off, only to return minutes later and shoot out the window, hitting Danny and 2 other teenagers. Danny was shot in the head and died on the scene, while the other 2 victims were expected to recover. Although the surviving victims didn't know who shot them, it didn't take long for the cops to arrest those responsible for the shooting, because about a week later, Lee Albert Morin, Andre Dimitri Ritchie, and Joseph Louis Goldsmith will be taken into custody and charged with murder and attempted murder for killing Danny and shooting the 2 other victims. Then in August of 2022, 2 of the 3 men will go to trial and be convicted of Danny's murder and were sentenced to life without parole in the California state prison system. The 3rd defendant, James Goldsmith, will plead guilty to being an accessory after the fact and was sentenced to time served. Danny, who was 22 at the time of his death, has been spoke about in the years following his death as a fighter who could have had it all in the sport if he was able to stay focused. But nowadays, that's harder to do, regardless of your profession. But yo, it's What's the Numbers TV. There's a quick profile piece on Danny Gonzalez. You understand, a boxer out of California. You know, great amateur career. A lot of people thought he was going to be a great pro. You know, evident by Floyd Mayweather, one of the greatest boxers of all time, signing him to the promotion company. You know, he had title holders, Tank Davis. So he had fighters under his roster that became champions. So he felt like Danny was going to be the next one. 3 fights after his first fight, he gave him whatever. I did like $5,000-$10,000 in straight cash. But for some reason, like I said, he fell back after the 3rd fight. Now Could it have been mental health? Could it have been some things in his life? Just wanted to be a kid. He was boxing all his whole life. Maybe he just wanted to, live a little bit, got a little money from signing and some, bonus money, and just started having fun and maybe moving around, and just boxing wasn't the top priority. Once he started, witnessing, once he started, experiencing other things in life, maybe that took away from his, commitment to boxing. So we don't know, but he definitely was talented. Now, as far as like the drinking and all that, if you're a boxer, you're not supposed to indulge in a lot of things. But nowadays a lot of boxers do indulge in. Now you see them in between fights, they'll be drinking or whatever. Some say they might even be smoking this, that, and the third. But the greats like Mayweather, he said he ain't have no drinks till he retired or it's end of his career. For the most part, if you live in a boxing lifestyle, alcohol is not supposed to be a part of it. So he was so early in his career, he was already dealing with those things. Maybe that helped stray him off the path or becoming a championship boxer. Now, as far as how he died, it was some older dudes. It was African American, he was Mexican. Maybe it was some racial tension. There's a lot of that in California, to my knowledge. Now, they was out in the valley, but to my understanding too, there's still gangs out there. And in the article, it says this was gang related. Like the 3 dudes was in the gang. They thought Danny was in the gang, and they ended up shooting him and killing him. They actually banged on him first, like asked where he was from. He said, but they don't bang. They left. They came back. Then they came back again, and that's when they actually shot. So, rest in peace to him. Condolences with family. Now, that the third defendant tell, I don't know, because at first he got charged with murder and everything. He had the same charges as the other 2. See how true it is? We hear the cops in the background. He had the same charges as the other dudes. Then after that, he only ends up copping out to accessory after the fact and got like time served. So did he telling the dudes? I don't know. I didn't read it in the thing. We have to check the paperwork for that. But he ended up getting time served when the other dudes got life without parole. Now, other than that, man, that's all I got for on this one, man. Rest in peace him. Like I said, to the kids, that's you deep in sports. Don't let all that hard work go to waste, man. Get you an education, a free education, even if you don't want to, chase sports or after that. But if you've been chasing it your whole adolescent life, putting in the work, cash in on that. Rather it be a free education. If you got a chance to go pro, make some money in it, cash in on, you owe it to yourself, and it might keep you out of the wrong thing. Definitely keep you out of the streets when you devote it to your craft. So other than that, man, go subscribe to the What's the Numbers TV live stream and Cliff's channel. We about to get that monetized. We go live there all the time. If you don't see us live on the main page, that's because we live on the other page. Go subscribe. If you into our live stream, we got some great ones. So just subscribe. And we do other content up there also. Story time, clips, topic discussions. They all go down on the What's the Numbers TV live stream and Clips channel. Shout out to my guy, Column Street Chopper. Mixtapes on the way. Federal A, I see you. Batty Bills, you know what it is. And to all the members of the channel, all the supporters of the channel, appreciate y'all. And 2023 going to be a big year for What's the Numbers TV. Remember, I said it, and it's all because of y'all supporting the channel, man. So we appreciate that. What's the Numbers TV? Your boy Paul Rowe. I'm out of here. Peace.